Hey, what up, YouTube? We're going to jump into some world news, and I wanted to cover this video right away. It's one of Davey's favorite news sources, and I'm very excited to jump into this, but this is too good. 10 minutes of solid, amazing headlines. You're not going to get this kind of news anywhere. You're not going to get this kind of news anywhere, okay? And yeah, shit on Democracy Now! They deserve it for their flowery coverage of Russia, but show me a news source that has a better 10 minutes. Anywhere. I mean, anywhere.
To Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. At least 36 people have died on the Hawaiian island of Maui as unprecedented wind-driven wildfires force thousands of people to flee their homes. Hospitals have been overwhelmed with burn patients. Some people had to run into the ocean to escape the flames. Much of the town of Lahaina has burned to the ground.
It's gone.
Lahaina was once the capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom. Residents described horrific scenes of destruction.
Resident of Lahaina for about 18 years, and we just had the worst disaster I've ever seen. All Lahaina is burnt to a crisp, and it's like an apocalypse.
The fires began on Tuesday and rapidly spread as wind from Hurricane Dora, hundreds of miles away, and dry conditions fueled the blaze. This is Hawaii's Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke.
Dude, that guy's in a motherfucking wheelchair, dude. What the fuck, bro? Time to go. Where are you going? I guess he feels. Is he trapped? He literally can't go anywhere.
Conditions fueled the blaze. This is Hawaii's Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke.
You know, the point is, a lot of residents in the state of Hawaii, when we are preparing for the hurricane, we expect rain. Sometimes we expect floods. We never anticipated in this state that a hurricane, which did not make impact on our islands, will cause this type of wildfires. Wildfires that wiped out communities, wildfires that wiped out businesses, wildfires that destroyed homes.
Ecuador has declared a state of emergency following the assassination of the presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio. The former journalist was fatally shot after a campaign event in Quito 10 days before the August 20th election. He'd faced death threats recently for speaking out about the links between the government and organized crime.
Yeah.
This is Fernando Villavicencio speaking in late July.
He was basically, just to explain the situation here, he was basically shot. If the camera was recording in this area, there was some kind of cartel member or someone right here, and as soon as he got in the vehicle, he just unloaded into this area, killed probably almost instantly. It was a hail of gunfire directly into his top half of his body and head. Maybe it was the shooter that was killed, but at least one of these cartel members was killed on their way out. It was confirmed it's the shooter that was killed. But yeah, and of course the reason why, as we've seen so many times, and honestly we've seen this enough times for these guys to stop playing games like this. Stop doing it, because I see this happen in Mexico too. Right? It's like you are absolutely getting targeted by people that absolutely will fucking kill you. Right? Stop the game. Stop pretending like things are normal. Right? Stop making these public appearances without everything being 100% locked the fuck down, multiple vehicles, like the whole nine. Right? A couple, $15 an hour homeboys is not good enough anymore. You're up against professional killers. So, and I don't mean to criticize the dead here, but I see this kind of, because it's a PR thing. It's like a political thing, right? Like, I don't want to seem like, like I'm hiding or like, that I'm scared. But you should be scared and you should be hiding. Okay? Because you're running on a platform of, I'm going to, eliminate these gang elements. I'm going to eliminate these cartel elements. So let's start taking it seriously, because I am tired of seeing freedom fighters, journalists, progressives who are trying to make real change in some of these countries like Mexico. These journalists getting killed every single fucking month in Mexico. but I'm a little tired of them not taking their own security seriously. That's all.
Event in Quito 10 days before the August 20th election. He'd faced death threats recently for speaking out about the links between the government and organized crime. This is Fernando Villavicencio speaking in late July.
100%. No one is safe 100%.
The country knew through the media of a police report in which it's revealed a very serious threat of one of the Sinaloa cartel's boss. I'm referring to alias Tito against me and my campaign team.
I mean, you're out here calling these guys out by name, and you're running around with 4 or 5 homeboys to put you in the back of a Toyota.
There's this warning that if I keep referring to him and his structure, they would attack me or my life.
Welcome back,
Los narcotraficantes y las mafias quieren tomarse el poder.
Drug traffickers and the mafia want to take the political power of the state, and without a doubt, it's not Tito who's behind this threat. It's the political mafias that are behind Tito who is behind this threat against my candidacy.
Fernando Villavicencio was 59 years old. The BBC reports a criminal group called Los Lobos, meaning the wolves, has claimed responsibility for his murder. One suspect was shot dead after the assassination. President Biden's reportedly planning to seek an additional $25 billion from Congress to be spent partly on the war in Ukraine, as well as to speed up weapons delivery to Taiwan. This comes as the war in Ukraine continues to intensify. On Thursday, a massive blast at a factory outside Moscow injured 56 people. Meanwhile, Poland has announced plans to send an additional 10,000 troops to its border with Belarus. Niger's new military leaders are...
Is that biased? That isn't biased, Davey. It's, you know, if you only watch the clips that I criticize, you would think this is like RT. All right? Democracy Now! Isn't like that.
Accusing France of trying to destabilize the country by releasing captured terrorists and breaching its airspace. France has denied the claims. This comes as ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, is holding an emergency summit today in Nigeria. ECOWAS has threatened to use military force to remove Niger's military leaders who seized power in a coup 2 weeks ago. After headlines, we'll speak with Syracuse University professor Horace Campbell. In Pakistan, the imprisoned former Prime Minister Imran Khan has filed an appeal days after he was sentenced to 3 years in prison on corruption charges. Earlier this week, Pakistan's election commission barred Khan from politics for 5 years. Pakistan's parliament removed Khan from office in April 2022. On Wednesday, The Intercept revealed the existence of a classified Pakistani cable that outlined how the U.S. State Department had encouraged the Pakistani government to remove Khan from office in March of 2022, just weeks after Russia had invaded Ukraine. The document stated the U.S. objected to Khan's neutral stance on the war. According to the memo, one State Department official warned Pakistan's ambassador to the United States that, quote, all will be forgiven in Washington if Khan is removed. The U.S. official, Assistant Secretary of State Donald Lu, then went on to say, quote, otherwise I think it will be tough going ahead.
I should cover this later in the week as well.
The death toll from migrant shipwreck off Tunisia's coast has risen to at least 41, including 3 children. The ship capsized and sank just a few hours after departing from Europe. Dozens are still missing from another shipwreck near the Tunisian port city of Sfax. The number of asylum seekers fleeing from Tunisia has dramatically increased in recent months due to the persecution of black Africans by Tunisian authorities and President Kais Saied. On Wednesday, at least 27 people were found dead in the desert after they were expelled from Tunisia. This is a pregnant asylum seeker who was expelled from Tunisia.
The right-wing concept of just, you know, just stopping people from getting in or, you know, shipping them back and all this is demonstrably proven. You can prove it with demonstration that it is inhumane and does not result in fixing anything. It just gets people killed. I understand. I mean, we can't have situations where countries are just like, you know, where the leaders of countries are stealing from their country, right? Impoverishing their country, not leading. You're creating a bunch of refugees and then dumping them on another country. That's obviously unsustainable too. I'm not saying that there's not problems to be fixed there. But this idea that you're just going to put up a wall, put up a gate, or just exile them, send them back, you're getting people fucking killed.
أنا كنت موجودة في تونس I was in Tunisia. My husband is a day laborer. We wanted to go to Italy and there was beating and insults. After that, 2 days ago, they took us to the borders. The following day, after we reached the borders, they took us, beat the men and left us. We walked on the road towards Libya, but we don't know the direction. We walked for 3-4 hours. Then the Libyan police found us.
Venezuela's won a major legal battle to recover about $1.5 billion that had been confiscated by the Portuguese bank Novo Banco, which is largely owned by the U.S. private equity firm Lone Star. For years, the Venezuelan government has decried international sanctions that has led to foreign banks freezing its overseas assets. In 2021, The Intercept reported Venezuela was blocked from using some of the money held by the bank to buy millions of vaccines for children. President Biden signed an executive order to ban U.S. firms from investing in Chinese high-tech companies developing semiconductors and quantum computers. The Chinese government criticized the move, accusing the U.S. of politicizing and weaponizing trade and technological issues. Newly unsealed court documents show Special Counsel Jack Smith obtained a search warrant to access Donald Trump's Twitter account as part of the investigation into Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Twitter, now known as X, was fined $350,000 after initially refusing to hand over Trump's personal data. Meanwhile, CNN is reporting Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis in Georgia is expected to seek more than a dozen indictments next week in her probe on Trump's efforts to overturn the election in Georgia. Security around Willis has increased after Trump attacked her on the campaign trail, calling her a racist while spreading rumors about her. Fani Willis is the first black woman to serve as Fulton County District Attorney.
More Trump news later.
The FBI shot and killed a Utah man who threatened the life of President Biden. The shooting came on Wednesday morning as the FBI attempted to serve the man, Craig Robertson, an arrest and search warrant. Robertson had posted numerous online threats targeting Biden and other officials. He recently wrote he was cleaning the dust off his M24 sniper rifle after learning Biden would be in Utah today.
More on this later.
He was killed in Utah. CNN is reporting the former head of the U.S. Coast Guard covered up the results of an explosive investigation into decades of rape and sexual assault at the Coast Guard's prestigious academy. 4 years ago, Commandant Carl Schultz and his Deputy Admiral Charles Ray suppressed the report as investigators were set to brief lawmakers and the Homeland Security Department on its findings. The current head of the Coast Guard, Linda Fagan, has acknowledged she'd become aware of the report and its cover-up, but has vowed to tackle sexual assault at the agency. Fagan, who's the Coast Guard's first female leader, has also apologized to survivors.
She looks like she's like a garbage pail kid. You know what I'm talking about? These like puppets from that movie based off the trading card game. She looks freaky as fuck, yo. Wait, I'm not allowed to make comments on people's personal appearance. It's so difficult when they look so goddamn weird.
ProPublica has revealed new details about how conservative billionaires have showered Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas with free trips and gifts for decades. ProPublica's new report documents 38 destination vacations, 26 private jet flights, 12 VIP passes to sporting events, and 8 helicopter flights, all paid for by billionaire patrons. Thomas has been under increasing scrutiny since April, when ProPublica revealed he'd failed to report frequent luxury trips paid for by the billionaire Harlan Crow. And the Israeli human rights organization B'Tselem is reporting 86 members of a Palestinian Bedouin community have been forced to abandon their homes due to violent threats from Israeli settlers. This is Mohammed Hassan Abu Akabash of the Bedouin community Akabun.
We've lived here for 25 years. We're farmers, shepherds, and we've lived here normally with our flock. But a settler came to the area and started making trouble for us. They tell us, don't graze here. You're not allowed to graze there. These are my lands. A few days ago, they spilled my neighbor's sheep's drinking water on the ground. 2 days ago, an armed settler came, walked around our home, came inside, and just sat there. He says the land is his. He says, I'm the government, I'm the state, I'm the police and the military. It's come to the point where we're leaving. It's a done deal.
Did you hear that? There's an Israeli settler walking into someone else's home with a weapon, sitting at their table. Yeah, this is mine now. You better get the fuck out. Funded by your taxpayer dollars. If you live in the United States, the UK, there's a bunch of Australia, happy relationship with Israel. That's your taxpayer dollars funding this. Ask yourself what you would do if you were in this person's shoes. He's got his family. He's got his kids running around there. Some guy comes in with a gun. You know this isn't yours. Be a shame if I had to use it.
According to B'Tselem, the Bedouin community Al Qaboon is the fourth Palestinian community forced to abandon its land in the last 3 months due to threats from Israeli settlers. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
There you go. 55. I'm sorry, 10. I was getting my numbers mixed up while I time out a jackass. 10 solid fucking minutes of news, okay? And once again, I want to challenge my news-loving audience. Find me a better 10 minutes of headlines. Find me a better news organization producing every single fucking day, by the way, 5 days a week, a better 10-minute rundown of news. The Spectrum, News Underground. I can't touch Democracy Now! I'm not going to, no way. No way. Amy Goodman, that's why this Russia shit hurts, man. That's why this Russia shit hurts. Welcome back, Snowmo Bro. All right, so I just wanted to follow up real quick in my last bit of world news. Just wanted to show you this video. Now, of course, you don't see the shooting. You don't see any of that. Sorry, that's very loud. You do hear the shots. I guess those are the shots that are actually returning at the person who killed the candidate from Ecuador. Welcome back, Lee. OG Lee in this motherfucker. Thank you, Lee. Yeah, exactly, woke patriot. Yeah, you can tell it's Ecuador, too, because you got these guys wearing these weird robes and this hat. Wow, there's some blood on the floor. I guess somebody hurt themselves in there as well. You know, maybe someone, hit their nose or something. Someone's bleeding. But, yeah, no, the shooting happened over here. You know, people are just, like, ducking down, right, because they don't know what the hell's going on. Just ducking for cover. And so, this is tragic. This is incredibly tragic. But once again, I need to reiterate this. Lefty politicians, especially in places like this where there is established, solid cartel violence, need to start taking their safety way more seriously. And I'm looking at you, Mexico. I'm looking at you, journalists and politicians, progressive journalists and politicians from Mexico. I'm looking at you. Okay? Start taking your safety seriously. These people are ruthless. Okay? Absolutely ruthless. And they're incredibly poor. And they're willing to do atrocious things for very little money. Yikes. I don't know what happened to that guy. Very frightening stuff. Very scary stuff. And another good one goes down. He probably wasn't perfect, right? He probably wasn't perfect, but he said, yeah, I want to go after these cartels. The Sinaloa cartel, I think, is what he was talking about. He's like, I want to go after them. And then there you go. Snuffed out of this life. It's terrible. It really is. It really is absolutely terrible. So lefties of the world, start taking your safety seriously, because the right has no problem murdering what gets in their way. They have no problem doing that. And this isn't even political per se. This is just crime, right? With that said, you often see right-wing elements in these countries align themselves with these criminal elements, and that's how they stem the violence, right? Is that they play the game. So you really only see left-wingers coming up and saying, we want to end this system. We want to change this system. A lot of the times you do see right-wing politicians just be like, well, you know, we're gonna work with one. We're gonna work with one side. They can win. Then everyone's happy. Yeah, Snowmobile Pro. Yeah, unless you're trying to, you know, give vaccines to people for a deadly virus, then, you know, or if you participated in a legitimate democratic election and lost, then of course, you know, crimes are all crimes are justified. Nidnak, welcome back. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming back. All right, folks, there you go. That's my world news update. Thank you.